everybody. Welcome to the podcast. Today I had a really funny story. So, I woke up to go to the gym, and usually I have this routine to feed a cat outside of the house. And then I had some chicken wings, and then I took them outside. And then out of nowhere, another orange cat showed up. And then the cat that I was supposed to feed, black in fact, just paused. It was a long pause, mind you, so it was really strange. What was the cat doing? Was she really thinking? What was going on in the cat's head? It was really strange. And a long time ago, I had a suspicion that maybe animals do actually think, right? Like us. Maybe not as complex as us, but maybe they do actually think. What was the cat thinking in that moment? Was the black cat thinking, all right, you stole my food, you orange cat. No, I have to kill you. Why would you do this to me? I had to wait for an entire day to get fed by this master. And now you have to take my food. It was really, really strange. And of course, as curious as I am, I went and did a little bit of research. When I say research, I meant I Googled it. And in fact, animals do think. So my suspicion was right all along. Animals do, in fact, think. Because if you think about it, they have the same brain structure. Humans have brain structure that is oddly similar to animals, most at least animals. And if you think about it, scientists do like MRI scan, or so scientists, when they want to study like the human brain, most of the time they don't actually study the human brain. They would go and study like another animal's brain because they have similar functions. And interesting, like, and the fact that they actually think make them also human. There is also evidence that animals actually have feelings, so they feel pain, suffering, as much as you do. If you have a dog, most of the time when you're sad, they will come and hug you. If you have a cat and she feel like maybe you're distracted or angry, she would stay away. She would sense that you're angry, right? And just basically disappear. So it's interesting that animals are more like us than what we think. Long ago, we used to treat animals as just food most of the time. If you have cats, you don't really too much care about them. You don't eat cats, but you don't care too much about them. They are stray, they're just there. You just feed them the leftover or bones. It doesn't really matter. They don't need to eat. Or maybe you can make them vegetarian. You can eat just veggies or potatoes or maybe bread, although they are not actually, they're carnivores. But, we make them. We make them eat stuff that they're not supposed to eat because we don't care too much about them. Humans invaded planet Earth and they felt like they own it. The other species don't matter because we are superior. We are cognitively superior than them. We think we are, at least. We think we are smarter than them. But if you think about it, the elephant remembers faces for many years. I don't think we'll be able to do that. They have this really strange memory. Squirrels, in fact, they remember the locations of food, or probably 400, 300 locations. I don't think a human being can do that. So when it comes to memory, they are far better than humans, right? So what makes them different in a way? What makes them different than us, and why we are still on top, and why aren't they governing, right? Why aren't they like the rulers or the ones to decide what's right and wrong? One of the factors that makes them maybe different from us and not maybe able to develop as fast as us is complex thinking. Humans have a very intricate way of thinking about things. You can think about philosophy, think about the future, the present. You can think about how to solve problems in thousands and thousands of ways, right? Animals do have some level of thinking, but it's limited. it's not as complex as humans. And one of the things that made us humans, or Homo sapiens, have this complex thinking is language. Our language enabled us to think in a variety of ways. You have vocabulary, you have words, so you can express yourself in many ways. If you think about the sounds of a cat most of the time only meows. I don't know whether the meowing of a sound is different of a cat is different from a meowing of a different one. Of course, they are going to be different, but do they have different meanings? Do they carry emotions? Maybe sometimes the cat, when she meows, maybe she needs food. Maybe sometimes when the cat meows, maybe she is in pain. You can sense that sometimes, but not all the time. Maybe there is layered meaning in the sounds they make, but humans are not able to decipher them, are not able to tell which is which. So it's interesting. Maybe should be like a scientist who would actually study the brain of a cat when she meows. He knows that now she needs food, and like there are certain regions in the brain that fires when she makes this particular sound, or when she is hungry, she makes this particular sound, and different regions of the brain fire. So it's interesting, like to think about it, like, but again, animals do have a lot of abilities that humans probably fall short on. If you think about it, crows bend wires to make tools. Octopus open jars. Rats learn mazes and adapt when routes change. Squirrels remember again hundreds and hundreds of food locations. Elephants recognize so many people after, like, I'd say maybe 100 years because they live longer, maybe more. Scrub jays store food for future use and choose different hiding places. They are thinking in terms of the future, not just the present. If you're hiding something for the future, you're thinking about the future. You're saying that one day I will need this food. So it's not just, you're not, a lot of people actually, when I was in university, were told that animals only think in terms of the present. They don't actually think about the future. But they actually do. They do. Now, let's go back to my example this morning, the cat, right? When she was thinking, that moment when she paused, she was thinking about the future. She probably was thinking that she's going to be hungry, or she's not going to be as, stuffed as she thought she would. The moment that orange cat appeared, she felt like that food is gone and that maybe she is going to remain hungry for the rest of the day. And of course, I'm very kind and empathetic, so I went back home and added more. So I wanted to feed the cat and had to feed both of them now. Now I have two kids I have to take care of. Interesting. Do you have like similar stories with pets? Could be cats and dogs. I feel like those are the most connected or closer to humans than other pets. I mean, you wouldn't really have a spider for a pet or a scorpion for a pet. I mean, you don't actually stare at them if they are there, or a snake. Do you actually stare at a snake? The moment you have a snake as a pet, I mean, you're constantly thinking that this snake is poisonous and she's going to eat me. And that's what she thinks she's thinking, right? But sometimes they pause. If you have a snake, most of the time, they pause. They have this posture, erect posture where they just look at you. They're planning. They are actually analyzing your moves, right? What are you going to do next? And then they will react. Very interesting. Like most of the time, we don't think animals are as capable of us. We have this superiority complex. We think we're better than every other animal on Earth, at least when it comes to thinking. We may be so, but not necessarily better. They do things maybe better than us. Humans just got lucky that they got language. Humans somehow manipulated sounds. If maybe one day scientists are going to try to tamper with their certain animal sounds and maybe make them make more sounds, different sounds than we do. If you think about it, parrots, if you have a parrot, they do talk. They do actually produce sounds. They repeat sounds. So they have the capabilities to make those sounds. They just need to be trained. We got lucky to make those sounds, and now we have complex thinking, but they didn't. It's unfortunate, but what can we do about it? Um, First thing, we shouldn't really think we are superior. We shouldn't always think when you have a cat, maybe that needs food, or a dog that needs food, and you have food to spare, why not give it to that dog or that cat, right? Yeah, humans, I mean, think about it. We just got lucky. We got the planet Earth. We were in this place where we are the dominant creatures, dominant species in every, and therefore every other animal should be food or should be eliminated, right? That's not how it works, right? Let's say I went to this place and I have this land that nobody occupied, right? Now I occupy the land and made a farm and made food and everything. Now let's say there are some it turns out that that land belongs to somebody else, that somebody else came to me and said, look, this land belongs to me, right? So maybe we can negotiate, we can say, all right, I built, you can pay me for the stuff that I built here or what I made, and then you can have your land back, or we can maybe share food. You can stay in the land and we can live together, coexist together. Same thing for animals. Animals actually lived or were in planet Earth long before we were here. Species, actually. Homo sapiens are the last to develop among animals. And unfortunately, we are the last to develop, and we're the luckiest ones, the ones to say you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. Yeah, a lot to think about. Yeah, tell me your stories in the discussion, in Discord discussion. Tell me if you had an encounter like this with a pet. And do you really think we should treat animals the same way we treat humans? Should we also give them rights? I mean, in European countries they do, but I feel like in our third world, we don't care so much about animals as much others do. All right, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed today's podcast. Until then, you have a good day and bye.